What is happening, guys? Robert Rule of Two Review here, and boy oh boy, is it time for some Walking Dead. So I know at the end of my last video, I said that the next gaming-related video I was going to make was going to be a top 10 games of 2013, and while that's basically true, here I sit on December 17th, and this is the day that Episode 1 of Season 2 of Telltale's The Walking Dead has released. Obviously, this was very recent information that I had just found out, which is why I made a video about it not too long ago. I have been completely crapping my pants with excitement for this game, for this first episode, because I was such a humongous fan of the first one. I love the entire Walking Dead mythos, from the web comic, which is where I started with it, all the way to the show and the many continuing compendiums and volumes that keep coming out of the comic, which I actually admittedly have not read in a long time. And of course, to this game. The Survival Instinct game doesn't count, A, because I haven't played it, and B, because apparently it's pretty fucking terrible. So, which is too bad. I was actually excited for it. I wanted to get the Wii U version of that game, and apparently it just sucked all around for the most part. So that aside, Telltale's Walking Dead was so good. One of the very first episodes when I restarted this channel a few months ago that I made was about the excitement after Telltale had announced that, yes, The Walking Dead Season 2 is finally coming. This was back in October-ish or something, September, October. And so, like I said, here we are. It's December 17th. The first episode has come out. It's late at night. It's 10:20, almost 10:30 here in Denver where I record. And I've been spending the last, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours or so with the game, with the first episode. I'm not quite done with it yet. I kind of figured since I was recording all the footage that I would take a quick break to kind of come and record just for a few minutes. I'm going to actually shoot for a few minutes just to kind of talk about my first impressions. This will be spoiler-ish. I will, of course, have included that in the description, so hopefully anyone clicking this knows this. But just in case, if you're just kind of scouring the internet for news and YouTube and stuff for news about this game, I am going to talk about it for a few minutes. However, I'm going to pretty much just go all out. So there's not really much I want to hold back because it's no fun to talk about it that way. So just an hour or two into the game, what do I think about it so far? The short, easy answer is it's great. It's everything that you would have loved about the first season of The Walking Dead and even 400 Days. I mean, it's the same game, it's the same engine, it's the same formula. Obviously, a lot of this was also borrowed and carried over into The Wolf Among Us, which is so far the only game I've really officially reviewed on this channel. The first episode for that, I should say, which was also fantastic. But it honestly still doesn't live up to what I thought the first season of The Walking Dead did. And now that I'm getting into season 2, I can only further agree with that. And that's not really a fault of The Wolf Among Us. It just is a testament to how absolutely awesome The Walking Dead is. But the setting and the characters just kind of speak to me more so far than what's happening in The Wolf Among Us. And mostly that, of course, has to be because of Clementine. And the reason it's even Clementine more than anyone else is because, as far as I can tell so far, she's the only real character that's carrying over. So I'll touch a little bit about how it begins, because I don't want to go too far. I'll probably try to do a full review once I finish the game. But it does open, and Krista and Omid, who were the two people who basically survived from the group at the end of the first season, are present, and they're with you. And that was really cool, I thought. And it was neat because I kind of was wondering, it leaves you wondering exactly how much time has passed since the end of season 1 and the beginning of season 2. And it, of course, really makes you realize that what we saw at the end of the credits of season 1, where Clementine was alone in a field and these two people see her and start running from a distance, and you're like, oh my God, who the hell are they? Of course, you wonder and think and hope it's Krista and Omid, and this basically tells you that it was. So that's kind of cool. In this part of the game, Clementine is just looks and kind of feels and acts just a little bit older. So I feel like it could have been anywhere from, I don't want to forget the fact that at this point, Krista is actually several months pregnant. She's definitely not quite fully pregnant, like about to burst or anything, but she's got a heck of a bump. I would say, I don't really know how pregnancy works. 5 or 6 months maybe. So we can assume that, longest case scenario, if she would have gotten pregnant the day that the first season ended, we're going to say 6-ish months. So that's a lot of time for Clementine to have been spending without Lee since he died. Based on whether you killed him or let him just die on his own or what have you. It's about 6 months there, 6 months with Omid, kind of living a different life that she has been leading. And they seem great. Like, they seem, as sad as Clementine seems, Krista and Omid are still the really cool characters that they were from the first one. I admit I didn't love Krista. I always loved Omid. But she seems much, much cooler in this one, the way the game begins. And so that was kind of a nice touch. And I actually, even though I said I was going to be spoilerish, this is just one thing I feel like I'm going to not talk about, but some events happen that basically separate them. And leading up to the events where they get separated and you end up as Clementine all alone, it's interesting. And actually, even since then, just in general, seeing Clementine's interactions with people, because I've now run into another group of people at a house, which was very exciting because I want to interact with as many people as possible. That's what makes the game good, is what is it like to be part of a group, even the story, because obviously the comics and the show are about this as well. So how do people in groups react and deal with each other? You know, their internal strife, as well as trying to survive, as well as fighting off walkers. And so Clementine's interactions with everybody is very interesting, because they're being very particular with how, and keep in mind at this point, by the time you get to the point where I'm at, another 16 months have gone by. So that's, 22 months or so, almost 2 years basically, since the end of the season 1, pretty much. That's a long time. It's a long time for Clementine to have been out on her own, without Lee. And also means it's been 2 years and some odd months basically since this whole thing started, because the first season was pretty soon after the outbreak started. So I'm going to try to wrap this up soon. I know I never make short videos. I suck at that. I have always just too much to say. But it's interesting because what they seem to be doing with this game, with Clementine in this game as the character you're actually playing, is they're slowly kind of beginning to sell you on this idea that she has become very world weary, hardened by the world, the life she's been leading. She's a little bit tougher in the sense that she's been trying to do things like, fight off walkers when they come at her, or be, build fires and stuff like that, which is very important early on. And, she's even become violent. She's been able to, kill a few things and literally fight some walkers to the death, and some neat stuff that it was really kind of weird to see her be doing on her own. But again, she's visibly a little bit older. 2 years when you're the age she is, especially for a girl, like that's a lot of growing in that age. So you can tell that she's matured and gone through that much more since she was the very young, innocent girl in season 1, which is a really neat dynamic, even though it's hard because we associate her with that completely innocent, helpless girl that we want to save and protect. And she's still basically that way, but she's getting tougher. That's what this season, I think, is going to be telling us and showing us. How much tougher is Clementine getting, and what does it mean for her? What you'll really notice, what I noticed, was her conversations with people, which of course is a lot of the times based on the dialogue choices you have. They're becoming much shorter, much kind of quippier. She's definitely to the point where she's slowly beginning to not have the ability to put up with people's BS, I should say. She's kind of getting to that point while still being, a little girl. But, this long into this life, she's obviously starting to be changed. So whatever, I don't want to rest on that too much. But yeah, there's I guess the last thing I'll touch on, and then I'll try to actually end this, is what's really neat is I was wondering, and I mentioned this in my previous video about Walking Dead as well. I've been wondering if, because we'd be playing as Clementine in this, if we would lose that other emotional connection that the first season had where you were protecting Clementine. She became your anchor, emotionally and actually. The person and the entity, the MacGuffin, if you will, of that story, of this story, where she was the thing that you needed, was always motivating you as Lee. And as the player, you ended up caring for her and loving her the way even Lee was doing. That was why the game was so good. And the characters are so good. So knowing that A, Lee was dead, and B, you were going to be playing as Clementine, were we going to lose that? And if we lost, and if we didn't lose it, what would it be replaced with? So there's a scene that I've played through. I'm going to try to avoid showing the actual clips of this scene, but it's definitely something noteworthy to talk about. It's a scene where she runs into a dog. And this dog is really kind of friendly and like cute and rummaging for food as you're trying to rummage for food right after Clementine gets separated. And after a few minutes, it sunk in. I was like, hey, I wonder if this kind of element is going to be brought into it. I mean, if I'm going to be playing as Clementine, are they going to, find this way to introduce an emotional element to this game by maybe having me as Clementine form a bond with an animal, a different kind of survival and something else to take care of in this, zombie infested wasteland. And I thought that was pretty cool, especially because, this scene with the dog was actually really neat. And I appreciated where I could have seen them taking the dog. But It was a great tease. I'm not gonna lie. It was a rope a dope because you think that everything's going great and they're trying to find food and she has to fight off a zombie, but she gets a knife and then she gets food and it's great. And the dog is being cute and adorable and starving and give me some food. And then, I mean, man, all of a sudden, long story short, the dog ends up attacking her and doing some damage to her and she has to fight it off. And I was like, oh my God, it caught me the fuck off guard. Let me tell you guys, I couldn't believe it. And I was so sad because I was kind of looking forward to this. I was like, cool, like she's going to have a companion. I'll have someone else to care about. Like I like dogs. So this will be really neat to see how this is going to happen. And what a cool twist to bring something similar to what the first game had into this one, but still make it different enough that it's going to be a very different feel than what the first season was. And then they basically just shot that shit right in the foot because the dog attacked her. And then it becomes really sad because the dog gets injured and you choose to kill or leave it. And the dog is like a pitiful dying creature. So you hate it for a second and then you feel bad for it. And it's a crazy roller coaster of emotions within about 60 seconds that will also just, it's insane. You know, I'm sure hopefully anyone's listening to this has already played it. So I'm not actually spoiling this for people. That's why I warned you about spoilers. So, and so the point I'm trying to get at, and this is going to be my last point, is that it was neat that they teased us with an emotional anchor and then pulled it away in such a shocking, surprising way that I never saw coming. That was really super cool. And now I'm getting involved with this new group of people, and it's really exciting. And some people I like, some people I don't, but who knows how that's going to change. And obviously, some of them are bound to die. Who knows when it happens? I feel like I have another hour, maybe hopefully even 2 hours left in this episode. I'm literally going to stop recording now. I'm going to go mix, edit, and really quickly throw this video up, and then I'm going to get back to it because I want to basically finish this today so that I have a grueling another 2 or 3 months to wait until the next episode. So anyway, overall, first impressions, fantastic. It's The Walking Dead. It's by Telltale. If you love what they do, you're going to love this. It's just the way of it. If you love Clementine, which you should unless you're a heartless bastard, you're going to love this game. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for now, guys. We will be back with the Desolation of Smaug 3-person review tomorrow. And, of course, the actual top 10 games of 2013 in another few days. So that's going to be a big one. I'm really excited for it. Thanks for tuning in. Please subscribe to the video. Please share the video. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel, I should say. Like I said, help my empire grow. And yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll talk to you next time.